Today we are going to start off discussing the speaking module in PTE, and there are 5 sections, 5 question types in PTE speaking test. The first one is read aloud, second is repeat sentence, followed by describe image, then you have retell lecture, the last one is answer short questions. Let us talk about the first type of question, which is read aloud. In read aloud, there are 2 skills which are assessed. One is speaking and the other one is reading, because you have to look at a passage and you have to read that passage aloud within 40 seconds. Before you read aloud, you will be given 40 seconds time to prepare and to rehearse what you are going to be reading. During the preparation time, it is advised that you can read a little aloud and practice so that you hear your pronunciation, you hear your voice modulation, and you can do better, or you can read better while you actually do the recording. Now, in read aloud, there are a few aspects or a few parameters that they will be assessing you on. One is pronunciation. The second is voice modulation, and there's word stress, syllable stress, intonation, and MTI. MTI stands for mother tongue influence. If somebody has a very strong mother tongue influence, that will also affect the pronunciation in turn. So when pronunciation gets affected and when there is wrong pronunciation, the score goes down for pronunciation. Okay, there are 3 assessment criteria which are officially scored on. One is oral fluency, 2 is pronunciation, 3 is content. Each of this you have 5 marks. 5 marks for content, 5 marks for oral fluency, and 5 marks for pronunciation. Your marks will be scored on 15. What you score will be divided by 15 and multiplied into 90, and that is how your entire PT test is scored on 90. Now, while you're practicing the read aloud section, you need to keep some things in mind. For example, you should read with a rise and fall in your tone, which is called voice modulation. Now, also something called intonation, which has rising tones and falling tones. Now, I'll give you a few tips, a few rules for intonation or how to tone your voice. One is whenever you get a comma when you're reading, when you see a comma, you have to give a short pause of about half a second. If you see a full stop, you have to give a little longer pause, that is for about 1 second. During the entire speaking test in PTE, you should never keep quiet for more than 3 seconds. If you pause for more than 3 seconds, the recording automatically gets shut off and you will not be able to record anything for that particular question. You just have to move on. You have to click on the next button and go to the next question. So please remember not to keep silent for more than 3 seconds. Even if you are thinking and you want to say something next, you can use some fillers, voiced fillers like you can use those fillers so that the recording does not get shut off. Right. Now, you know about the pausing for commas and full stops. We'll talk about the tones now. When you have a full stop, you have to end your tone with a falling tone. So suppose, for example, I'm telling you, today is Sunday. This is a statement. It will be written with a full stop. It is not a question. It is a statement. So statements are written with full stops. When you have a full stop and when you're ending the sentence, you end with a falling tone from your voice. You will know that that is the end of a sentence. I cannot say today is Sunday, full stop. So by my voice, you will know that that is a statement. Today is Sunday, day. Day comes at a low tone at the end. Now, suppose I'm asking you a question. Suppose I ask you, what is the date today? I'm asking you about the date. What is the date today? Is it a question or is it a statement? You'll have to unmute and speak.
Question.
Very good. It is a question. It is a question because I'm asking what. What date is it today? And by my voice at the end today, you see, you can hear that there is a rise in the end, right? What date is it today? So I'm asking you the date. Today is a rising tone. So whenever you see a question mark, you always give a rising tone at the end. And when you see a full stop, you end with a falling tone. So by the tone, you will know whether that is a question or whether it's a statement. If you see an exclamatory mark, which is very, very rare, also end with a kind of an expression with a deeper feeling, because exclamatory marks have to be, they are interjections and they are exclamatory sentences. You have to say it with a little more life and a little more energy. So I say, wow, today is a beautiful day. So it will end with day as a falling tone because it's the end of a sentence, but there is more energy, there is more life in that sentence, there's more expression. Okay. But I've very rarely seen an exclamatory mark in a passage for read aloud. I don't think that you will get that generally. Now, let's look at some pronunciation rules. When you have the word the, there are two ways of pronouncing the. Sometimes we say the, sometimes we say the. Do you know when you have to say the and when you have to say the? What are the rules for this? If you don't know the rules, can you say some examples? When do you say the? When do you say the? Can you just take a guess or just give it a chance and say what you think about this?
Maybe before a country, like maybe the America, the United States of America, like somewhere like this, we use the.
Okay.
Maybe these before any objects like flowers or something like that.
Okay.
Flower. I'm not sure. But
flower.
Noun. Before a noun.
Oh, okay. So all right. So that is one guess or one attempt you made. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Yamini. Anyone else has any other take on this? Any ideas you have?
Before a noun.
What before a noun? What do you use?
Place usually.
So what? When is the and when is the? Please explain it fully, Rajita. When do you say the? When do you say the? Regarding nouns or whatever. What are you saying? Just explain it a little more.
The and the. You say the when you say the United States of America, like Yamini mentioned, and you would say the sun is out today. I think those are the two distinguishing statements that I'm able to think of at the moment.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to say something about this?
Beginning, if we start a sentence with the in the beginning, so we will use the, and in between a sentence, the. There in it.
Okay.
Not sure, I'm just guessing.
Okay. All right, fine. So good attempts. You'll have made good attempts. So thanks for sharing your views or what you thought were the rules for the and the. Now I'll tell you the places where you should use the and when you should use the. You have to use the, pronounce the word the before vowel sounding words. Vowel sounding words. What are vowel sounding words? Any word which sounds with an A, E, I, O, U. Any word which gives a vowel sound, when the comes before that, you have to say the. For example, you say the orange, the apple, the elephant. But if it is a consonant sound, like apart from these 5 sounds, you have 21 consonant sounds. There you have to say the tomatoes. You don't say the tomatoes. The door, the house, the building, the country, the river. So all these r, s, m, all these are consonant sounds. They're not vowel sounds. So you have to say the before consonant sounding words, and you have to say the before vowel sounding words. Now, why am I insisting on sounding words? Because there are some letters which may be a vowel letter, but the sound may not be a vowel sound. Right? Suppose you have the word union, unit. It begins with the letter U, which is a vowel letter. The sound is not a vowel sound. It's unit is ya sound. Y, ya. Like Yamini, ya. Unit, ya. Union, ya. University, ya. So you don't say the university, the unit of electricity. You say the unit. So don't go by spelling, go by sounds. You're all PTE students and you should know a little bit of phonetics. So you have to remember, go by the sound when you're doing read aloud, because your pronunciation matters for all your 5 sections in the speaking test. Pronunciation is one of the criteria which is common for all the 5. So remember, you have to learn to pronounce words correctly throughout. Even when you're doing describe image or read the lecture or wherever you're speaking, when you get the and the, you should know how to distinguish the sounds and say it in a correct way, pronounce it in a correct way. Now, you understood the and the. I told you about a letter O. O, is it a vowel letter or is it a consonant letter? O. A-E-I-O-U. So O is a vowel or is it a consonant?
Vowel.
Vowel,
Very good.
It's a vowel.
It's a vowel. Now, suppose I say ongoing. The ongoing flight. So ongoing starts with O. O is a vowel sound. O. A, O, E, U. It's a vowel sound. Now, suppose I say the 1-year-old child was not well this morning. When I say one, it starts with wa, one. Is it a consonant sound or is it a vowel sound?
Consonant.
Very good. Very good, Yamini. It is a consonant sound. Wa, W. It's not on. We're not saying o, on here. On is on. But O-N-E is wa, one. So it is a consonant sound. Therefore, you should not say the, you should say the 1-year-old child, 1-year-old business, the 1-year-old whatever. Right? So you have to go by sounds and not by spellings. The other on the reverse, like you have a consonant letter, but the sound should be a vowel sound. You think of some examples where you have a word with a letter starting with a consonant letter, but when you say it, the sound of vowel sound. Can you say some examples for this? Where the consonant is silent and it is not pronounced, but you start with a vowel sound there. Can you think of something? Okay, I'll tell you some of them. H-O-U-R. H is a consonant letter. H. It's not a vowel letter. How do you pronounce H-O-U-R? How do you say it?
R.
R. Our. Our is R. It's not ha. We don't say hour. Our. An hour. How do you pronounce H-O-N-E-S-T?
Honest.
Honest. It's O. Honest. It's not ha. H is silent. Honest. Our. Okay. So there are a few words where the consonant letter is silent. Now, E-U-R-O-P-E. E-U-R-O-P-E. Starts with E. Europe. But the pronunciation is U. Europe. Yeah. Again, Y sound. The consonant sound. The letter is a vowel letter. The sound is consonant. The other hand, you saw our starts with consonant letter, but the sound is a vowel sound. So if THE comes before honest, the honest man received an award. So you say the honest, you don't say the honest, the honest. So I'm giving you this background to know how the sound is, and therefore you have to know how to pronounce the, whether you should say it as the. So is this clear for all of you? Okay. Now there's another rule where you have to say the, where you have to pronounce the as the, and that is before any superlative degrees. Now, when we talk about superlative degrees, some of you may remember what it is. Some of you might have forgotten because you might have studied these grammar rules in school long time ago. There are something called adjectives. Adjectives are words which describe nouns. Okay. Now there is something called degrees of comparison for adjectives. So if I say there is a tall building near my house, building is a noun, and tall is describing the building. So tall is the adjective. Now for this word tall, if I say there is a taller building on the next road, on the next street, I'm saying there is a taller building, I'm comparing this building to another building and saying that is a taller building. So taller is a comparative word. So it is a degree of comparing, degree of comparison. And then I'll say on the third street across my house, there is a building which is the tallest of all. There are three buildings. One is tall. This is a tall building. That is taller building. And that is the tallest. The tallest. So there are three degrees. One is called positive degree. Second is called comparative degree. And the third is superlative. Superlative degree cannot be exceeded. That is the tallest. There's nothing taller than that. That is called superlative. Comparative is you're comparing two. This is tall, this is taller. All taller and tallest. So positive degree, comparative degree, superlative degree. These are the three degrees of comparisons. You only have this for adjectives. You cannot have compare a noun. You cannot say this is a house, that is a houser and housest. There's nothing like that, right? So only with words which you describe, that can be changed and compared. You can say small, smaller, smallest, tiny, tinier, tiniest, great, greater, greatest, wide, wider, widest. Now, sometimes there are words which cannot be used with an ER at the end or EST, like long words, like intelligent. You can't say intelligenter and intelligentest. In that case, you put more and most. More intelligent, most intelligent. He is intelligent, he is more intelligent than him, but he is the most intelligent. The positive, comparative, superlative. Creative, you can't say creative or beautiful. Say more beautiful, most beautiful, more creative, most creative. There are longer words. Generally, the longer adjectives don't have an ER or EST forms. In that case, you have to use more and most. But if you have an ER form, you can't say more. Some people say that is more bigger, which is wrong. You can't say more bigger. You just say bigger. If there's ER to it, no more. You just say bigger. Now, why am I giving you this background? To remember where you identify a superlative degree, thereby decide that you have to say the tallest building. That is the. When you say the, it is like it's unique. There's nothing greater than that. The greatest. It is the most tasty food I've had in the last 1 year. The most tasty food. Or you can say the tastiest food. Or you can say it is the most beautiful place I have visited in the last 6 months. The most. Even when you say most, that is acting as a superlative degree word. So you have to say the before most. But before more, you don't say no. You don't say more. That is the more. No, you can't say. That is more beautiful than what I saw last week. So you never use the before more. But when you're comparing something to something else, you can say this is as good as that. You can say as good as. You can't say this is the good. You can't say this is the good. This is the good new. You can say this is the good building that I visited, or this is the good palace. This is a good palace that I visited. So you can use a for those nouns. Remember, whenever you come to the positive, comparative, and superlative degree, when you see most or any word ending with est, please pronounce that word as the and not the. So these are the only rules, as simple as these, to remember how to pronounce the and the. Okay? Will one of you please repeat these rules, what I've just taught you? The and the pronunciation.
So Monique, the first rule that you mentioned is that we use the before a vowel sounding word. and the can be used for any, representing any consonant sounds words. The second rule is that before any superlative degree of, comparison, it must be pronounced the and not the.
Very good. Very good. You've understood clearly, and I hope all of you all have also understood this clearly. Right? Now, there are a lot of other rules for the, when to use a, an, and the, which you should use in writing. And those, and even when speaking, you need to use them. You can go through our article rules, which is in the grammar book in the Dropbox. You can go through your Dropbox. There's a book called Pure Intermediate Book. Please read the rules for a, an, and the, when to use a, an, and the when writing and when speaking. Some of you were a little confused. You were saying when you say the United States and all that, you need to use the, but that is not about the pronunciation. You can just say the United States because United is ya sound, so you go by the rule the. You go by these rules which we have just discussed, the and the. But when to use the, you have some ideas about the places names. That is correct. So that comes along with the rules when to use the. Generally, you don't use the before proper nouns, but there are some exceptions when you should use the before countries, some countries' names or some rivers' names, water bodies, mountains, etc. Okay, so you can please go to that, refer to your grammar book and just refresh your knowledge on the usage of a, an, and the. Coming back to read aloud, let's look at some breaking up. It's just called breaking up of words. It's called word chunking. Word chunking. Word chunking means when you're reading a passage, you should not read word by word, like a beginner of a language, like a person beginning to learn a language. We read spelling, you spell out the word H-O-M-E, home, B-O-O-K, bouquet, P-T-L-E, apple, and then you read the apple is in the basket. You read word by word. But now, how do you have to read? You have to group the words in, you have to group the words according to their meanings and read accordingly. This is called word chunking. Word chunking. If you have a sentence, for example, I would say there are 6 brown chairs in the classroom. This is a sentence. There are 6 brown chairs in the classroom. Now, when I say there are, okay, I say this in a different way. There are 6 brown chairs in the classroom. I've given 3 chunks here, 3 groups, and I've paused in between. I've said there are 6 brown, pause, chairs in the, pause, classroom. Does this give meaning when reading, or for the listener, does it make sense? Yes or no? Yes or no?
No.
No.
No. It doesn't give clarity. We cannot get the meaning immediately when I give a sentence, when I say a sentence like this. So the chunking has to be always the articles are a, an, and the article comes along with the noun. But if there's an adjective before the noun, the article, adjective, and noun should come together. There are one chunk. There are. What are they? What is it that there are? There are, pause, 6 brown chairs. 6 is one adjective, brown another adjective, are 2 adjectives describing something. What are they describing? The noun? Which noun? 6 brown what?
Chair.
Chairs.
Chairs. So chairs is a noun. There are 6 chairs and all the chairs are brown. There are 2 adjectives denoting the same, describing the same noun, chairs. So you cannot split up 6 and say brown separately. 6 and brown have to come together, and 6 and brown have to come along with the noun that they're describing. 6 brown chairs is one chunk. There are, pause, 6 brown chairs, pause, in the classroom. In the classroom is one chunk. I can't put chairs in the, after the, give a separate pause, and then say classroom separately, because the is the article coming before the noun in the end, which is classroom. The classroom cannot be separated. The classroom has to be read together. This is just a small example I've given you. When you're reading sentences in your PTE passages, you have to prepare in that 40 seconds. You have to rehearse. You have to see where the meaning has to be, bifurcated. And sometimes some students read that at the end of the line, they give a pause and go to the next line. It's not necessary that you should pause at the end of a line, because after the line, when you continue on the next line, there will be something which is connected with it. You don't pause according to the line bifurcation, you pause according to the meaning. This is called word chunking, which is something you also will be doing practice. You have to practice before your exam during your training period. All right. There's another rule for pronunciation. Whenever you get a word which is contrasting or contradicting the previous idea, you have to say it with a higher pitch. For example, if I say, today is a cloudy day, however, it is not raining. Now, the word however is contradicting the previous sentence, because if it's a cloudy day, we might expect rain. But I'm saying, no, though it is a cloudy day, it is not raining. Though is also a word which contradicts. But is also a word. However, although, these are words which show contrast. When you're using a word which is showing contradiction or contrast, you have to, even while you use these words to show contrast, you need to say it with a higher pitch, because that has to take more prominence, and the second part of the sentence has to be remembered better than the first part, because that kind of supersedes the previous sentence. We're not focusing on the cloudy day, but we are focusing on that there's no rain. We are, paying more attention to that and emphasizing on that. You have to say the word however with a little more, with higher pitch and with a little more energy. Okay. So those are some of the things you need to remember. So you have word chunking, you have falling tone, you have rising tone. You know when to say the, you know when to say the, you know when to pause after a comma, for how long you pause after a full stop. And you also know how to read in chunks according to the meaning. And you have to go through difficult words 1 or 2 times when you're practicing. So if you have a long word which you're not so familiar with, or if it is a little difficult in terms of pronunciation, I see many people struggling with the word environment. Some people say environment, some say environment, some say environment. So these are words that you should remember and learn to pronounce correctly. For example, it is environment and not environment. It is environment, or you can also have the R silent. You can say environment, but it's always NY. It's not NV. It's not environ. It's not envion. Those are wrong. Some say environment, environment. All those are wrong pronunciations. When you get a difficult word which is challenging for you, please say it 2 or 3 times to become comfortable when you're reading. Because when you're reading when the recording starts and when you're doing the final reading, it should be, the flow should be smooth, because for oral fluency, you get marks. If you're struggling to say a word and you're stumbling and fumbling, marks will go down for the oral fluency. Okay, so please practice and read fluently. You have to read fluently. You have to also read with the correct pauses, with the correct tones, rising tones, falling tones. You have to know what pitch to use. And now I'm going to teach you something which is also a little more interesting. I'm going to teach you about word stress and syllable stress. Now, in a sentence, do you stress on all the words equally? Now, before I go to ask you this question, what is the meaning of stress? There are different meanings of stress, yes, in English. One is when we feel tired and we are stressed out, we are upset about something, we feel stressed. That is stress in terms of our state of being. But here we are talking about stress, which is where you emphasize on a word or a part of a word, which is a syllable. Now, when we emphasize on some word, that means we say that word a little louder. So the volume increases, we prolong that word, we emphasize on it, and we stress on it. So this is called stress. There are 2 things that you have to stress on in a sentence. One is within a sentence, you stress on certain words, and in a word, there are certain syllables you have to stress on. That's called syllable stress. You can't stress on all the syllables. What is a syllable? A syllable is a part of a word. A word is broken down into different parts based on their pronunciation, based on how many vowel sounds they have. So that is called a syllable. Now, syllable stress is which syllable do you stress on in a word? That's what makes your pronunciation either correct or wrong. If you stress on the wrong syllable, your pronunciation will go for a toss. So you have to know which syllable to stress on and which not to stress on. So now let's look at word stress first. In a sentence, there are something called content words and structure words. Content words are words which give meaning or add value to the meaning of a sentence. On the other hand, there are something called structure words. Structure words give grammatical structure to the sentence, but they do not add value to the meaning. I'll give you some examples. Content words include nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Now, for this, you should know what are the 8 parts of speech. Can any of you tell me what are the 8 parts of speech? I've already mentioned 4 now, so you should just remember the other 4. Can any of you tell us what are the 8 parts of speech?
Adjective.
Very good. 1.
Pronoun.
Very good.
Pronoun.
2. Yeah.
Adverbs.
Very good. That's 3.
Nouns.
Yes, Varun?
Prepositions.
Nouns.
Prepositions 4, nouns 5. Yes, good. 3 more. There are 3 left. What are the 3 others? Okay, we look at it in an order. You can have a structure when you remember the parts of speech, and maybe you could write them down. Noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection. Repeat: noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection. You want me to repeat? Have all of you got it clear? Yes. Grammar is very important. You all are language students, English language students now. You need to have your basic grammar in place and thorough with all these parts of speech, how they play a role, what roles they play in a sentence, and vocabulary and grammar are the 2 bases for a language. So now coming to the content words. Out of these 8 parts of speech, I mentioned 4 which are content words. Content words include nouns, which are naming words, not pronouns, verbs, which are action words, the main verb. Again, in verbs, there are main verbs and helping verbs, but main verbs are content words. Suppose I say, I am speaking, I am speaking. Speaking is the main verb, but I am is the supporting verb, the helping verb, or the modal or auxiliary verb. We don't stress on I am, we just stress on speaking. I am speaking. Don't say I am speaking. I just say I am speaking. I am is said very softly, but speaking is said louder and stressed upon. So, nouns, main verbs, adjectives. What are adjectives? What role do they play in a sentence? What is the meaning of adjective?
Emphasizes.
No, what is the meaning of adjective? What is an adjective in a sentence? What does it describe?
It describes the verb.
It's the
It
nouns.
describes a noun.
Noun, not the verb.
It describes a noun. You cannot describe a verb. You can describe a verb. A noun, a word which describes the noun is an adjective, but adjective cannot describe verb. Adverb describes verbs. Adverbs describes verbs, and they also describe adjectives and other adverbs. So adjectives and adverbs also are part of the content words. So the 4 content words are nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs. When you see these kind of words, these parts of speech in your sentence, in your paragraph, you have to emphasize on them. You have to stress on them. But if you get a structure word, the other 4 are structure words. Pronouns like he, she, it, they, them. You don't stress on they, them, or he, she, it. Okay. I can say, I have a brother, he is working. So I won't say I have a brother. Brother is a noun. I can stress on that. I won't say he is working. I'll say he is working. Working is the main verb. I stress on working. I won't stress on he. He is a pronoun. We don't stress on that is called a structure word. It is required to provide the grammatical structure to the sentence, but it is not stressed upon. We don't emphasize on the pronoun. We don't stress on pronouns, which are structure words, and also helping words, modals, helping verbs like is, are, they are playing. We just say they are playing. We don't say they are playing. We don't stress on are, but we stress on playing. Playing is the main verb. That is the content word. Structure word is giving structure. It is just helping the main verb. So we don't stress on are, is, was, were, has, had, have. Those are all the structure words. Helping words should not be stressed on. You also don't stress on prepositions. What are some of the prepositions that you know? General prepositions that we come across? Yeah? When you speak, you must unmute your mics and speak. Otherwise, we will not be able to hear you. Can you give me some examples of prepositions? Okay, some of the prepositions which we often use are on, in, at, for, with, across, above, below. All these are prepositions. And these are all structure words which provide structure to the sentence, but they don't add value to the meaning, but they are important to provide structure to the sentence and make the sentence grammatically correct and complete. So you should not stress on prepositions. I will not say the class is at 1:30 p.m. The class is at 1:30 p.m. The content words are what? Class and 1:30, the time. The class is at 1:30 p.m. So you stress on class and you stress on 1:30, which is content. Time is giving the content. It acts as a noun there because giving the time. What time is the class? 1:30. So what is a noun? It is giving the time. But you don't also stress on articles an and the. We will not say the class is at. The is the article. You don't stress on a, an, and the. There are also structure words which are very important to make the sentence complete. They are required to give a good structure to the sentence, but we should not emphasize or stress on the articles. The other word which you should not stress on is conjunction. Conjunction, what are conjunctions? Just by this word, you know the meaning of what conjunctions are.
Connecting.
Very
Connecting
good.
sentence.
Connecting. They're joining or connecting words and sentences together. For example, and, because, so, since, however, moreover, in addition to. You don't stress on these words, right? Only when however comes as the contradiction when you're reading aloud, you have to emphasize on it, say it with the higher pitch. If it's coming as a joining word, if I say Monday and Tuesday are holidays, I will not say Monday and Tuesday. I'll say Monday, Tuesday. And is very soft, hardly hear it, very fast. I'm saying it very fast. Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday are the nouns. I will stress on those words. So those are the content words. And is a conjunction. You don't stress on them. Mary and Peter are friends. Mary and, say softly, don't emphasize on it. Peter, two nouns. Mary and Peter are friends. So friends is also a noun. I'll stress on it. Are, I'm not stressing on. Mary and Peter are friends. Right? I'm not saying Mary and Peter are friends. Are, I'm not stressing on are, and I'm not stressing on and. Helping word are, helping verb, or conjunctions. We do not stress on these words. Do not stress on these structure words. You have to only stress on the content words. Now, there's something called the last part of speech, which is a interjection. An interjection is a word which we use to express a deep or sudden feeling or an emotion. For example, you say, wow, what a beautiful scenery that is. When I say wow, that word is called an interjection because that word is used to express my deep happiness and my joy in seeing that. I'm giving a word wow as an expression of how I admire that scenery. That word is called interjection. It could also be a simple word like great. Suppose you get a good score in your exercise, I'll say great, that was a great score. So great is an interjection. Beautiful is an interjection. Wonderful, marvelous, hooray, like our company name, hooray, right? Or it could be excellent, tremendous. All these words which show expression of deep happiness. It could be also something with sorrow. It could be deep sadness or fear. Oh my goodness, I'm scared of that place. Or you can say, oh, how sad, alas, your grandfather passed away. So it could be also expressing sadness or grief or shock, or it could be fear, any deep feeling. It's not only always joy. It could be anger. It could be, oh goodness, you not again, not again. When you're angry, say no, not again. So you can put, when you use words which are exclamatory words, which are interjections, you have to use the exclamatory mark, the symbol, the punctuation, exclamatory mark has to be used. So when you see an exclamatory mark, you know that sentence or that word is an interjection. And here you have to stress on this because that is giving a lot of importance. You have to give a lot of importance to that. Or you have to stress on that word because that shows a deep feeling of either happiness or sadness or anger or fear, right? So this is about word stress in a sentence. So now do you all know where to stress on in the sentence, what words to stress on and what not to stress on? Okay. Just to know whether we are on the same page, will one of you just explain quickly what are the words that you stress on, what are content words and what are structure words? And just one of you summarize it. Anybody, please give it a go. Don't worry, even if it's wrong, I'll help you. Don't worry.
So I'll say the content words are noun, main words, adjectives and adverbs. Structured words are pronouns, prepositions, articles and conjunctions.
Okay, so which words do you stress on and which words do you not stress on?
Stress on content words and structured words we don't stress on. Right.
Very good. You stress on content words and you don't stress on structured words. Very good. Right. Now, now we are going to look at syllable stress. Now, in a word, there are a number of syllables. There could be a syllable. The meaning of a syllable is it's a part of a word. A word is broken down into different parts. And these parts are denoted by the vowel sound. I'll give you further clarity by giving some examples. Suppose I say the word table. Now, in the word table, A is one vowel sound, A, which is a diphthong, by the way, but it's one, we're considering it as one sound, A, and bill has another vowel sound, which is E, bill. If you remove B and L, the vowel sound is E. B plus E plus L is bill. So you have E in the middle. But A is T, T is a consonant, A is a vowel sound. B is consonant, L is consonant. What are the vowel sounds here? A and E. There are two sounds. You see, there's like a bend in the word. A and bill. A, bill. So this word has 2 syllables. It's called a bisyllable word. There are words with single syllables, which are called monosyllables. There are bisyllable word, there are trisyllable word, and there are polysyllable. Polysyllable are more than 4 or 5 syllables. We call them poly, means many. Polysyllable. You can take the word with a single syllable. Chair, chair. Yeah. You see chair, it has 1 syllable. Chair, chair, right? So it's 1 syllable. 2 syllables, table. If you take a word with 3 syllables, you can say computer. Computer. Come is a sound. Come, a. Tu is u sound. A is a sound. So there are 3 sounds there. So you say computer. 3 vowels. That's called trisyllable. Then there are words with multisyllables, polysyllables. Graduation. Graduation. 4 syllables. There are 4 vowel sounds there. Suppose you take the word multiplication. How many syllables are there in that word? Say the word a little aloud and count how many syllables. Multiplication. 5 syllables. Yeah. So there are many words, which has many syllables, polysyllables, some have 1 syllable. So in a word, you cannot pronounce or cannot emphasize or stress on all the syllables in the same way. So there are some rules for this. There are lots of rules, but I cannot explain all of them. But just to help you with your PT read aloud, I'll give you a few rules for your syllable stress. Word stress, you got some rules. Now for syllable stress, remember that you have to always stress on a syllable which comes before TION. Any word which ends with shin, you have to give a stress on the syllable which is before shin, which is called the penultimate syllable. Penultimate means 1 before the ultimate. Ultimate syllable is shin. Shin is 1 syllable. Shin is only sh, a sound. Shin, though there are 4 letters, but T and sh is not. Sh has a E sound and n is a consonant sound. So in this sh, one vowel sound, that is a. Chin, chin, E, chin. Short E, chin. Now, that is the last syllable, which is ultimate. Now, the syllable which is penultimate means which comes just before that. So when I told you the word graduation, I pronounced it as graduation and I stressed on A. That is the penultimate syllable. Graduation. Multiplication. We don't say multiplication. We don't stress on mul. We don't say graduation. We don't say graduation. We say graduation. Where's the stress? A. We don't stress on graduation. We don't stress on graduation. We don't stress on Jew. We don't stress on shin. We stress on the A. Now, when you take any word ending with shin, the standard rule is that you have to stress on the syllable which is penultimate to that. That is called the penultimate syllable. Stress on that. Now, each of you can give me 2 words ending with shin and say how to pronounce it. You can teach the others. Let's go for it. Think of any 2 words. Now, when one person takes 2 words, the others should not repeat that. So there are 7 of you. Each one should get to take 2 words. I'll give you one half a minute time. Jot down 3 or 4 words because suppose somebody else says the word which you have written, then you should have some alternate, some extra words. Just jot down 3 or 4 words ending with shin. Don't repeat what I have said. Some 3 or 4 words, and then each of you will read aloud. Just take half a minute or 1 minute time to just prepare. All right, that's enough. Whatever you're prepared is fine. Let's start off with Rini. Give us 2 words and say how to pronounce it using the rule that you have learned just now.
Okay. Information. Information.
Very good.
Satisfaction.
Very good. So let's repeat these words what Rennie has taught us. One is information. So you stress on A. Information. All of you just say information. Unmute your mics and speak. Together you can repeat information. Unmute your mics and speak, please.
Information.
Very good. When you say it aloud, why I make you to say it aloud is you hear how you pronounce it. Hear where you're stressing on. Otherwise, you're just remembering quietly in your mind. You will not know where you're stressing on. Okay. Information. A. Information. Please repeat.
Information.
You must elongate it, stretch it. A has to be prolonged. Said it louder. Emphasize, stress on it means you have to prolong it also. Information. Give it another chance.
Information.
Great. And don't say information. It's not form. Then you are stressing on form. You should not stress on form. Okay, you should stress on A. Information. Infer. It's for, not for. Information. Good. Yes. Very good, Rennie. What is the next word? Please teach us to pronounce that.
Satisfaction.
Very good. Satisfaction. So stress is on faction. Fact. Satisfaction. So all of us will repeat that. Satisfaction. So fac is the syllable which comes before shin. Fac. FAC. You have to stress on FAC. Got it? Very good. Congratulations, Rennie. Okay, next, Jyoti.
Communication.
Very good. Say that aloud, Jyoti.
Communication.
Very good. Communication. You say A, not A. Communication. K. It's called a diphthong. A diphthong. It is diphthong means in one syllable, in one vowel sound, you have two sounds like A. Like D-A-Y is day, it's not day, it's day. So you have to say communication, it's a diphthong. The monophthongs, diphthongs and triphthongs. Monophthong is a single vowel word, a sounding word, and diphthongs which has two sounds, two vowel sounds, and triphthongs have three vowel sounds. Okay. So let us say this word together. All of us will repeat. Communication. Don't say cation. Communication. If you listen to good news readers, you'll hear this sound is like this. They don't say communication. It's not cation. Communication. And you hear that tune to it, and you hear that sound is K and not K. Communication. Okay. Let's repeat this thrice. Communication. Communication. Very good. Yes, Jyoti, what's the next word?
Education.
Very good. Education. Here also A is to be said with the diphthong AE. Education. Okay, let's all repeat this. Education.
Education.
Very good. Now, very good, Jyoti. Congratulations. Thank you. Now, let's go to Adira. Could you please give us your words?
Okay. Propagation.
Very good. Here again, A is a diphthong. You have to pronounce it with the two vowel syllables, two vowel sounds. Propagation. Let's all say this 3 times. Propagation. You see, the stress is on A. The penultimate syllable. Okay, very good. What's the next word?
Generation.
Very good. Generation. Again, A is a diphthong. Let's all repeat this twice. Generation. Very good. Thank you, Adira. Very nice. Next, Yamini.
Execution.
Very good. Execution. So here you have a U sound. Execution. So let's repeat this. Execution.
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 Execution. We don't say execution. We don't say stress on X. We stress on U. Very good word. Yes, yes. Next time, Yamini.
Presentation.
Presentation. Very good. Here again, A is a diphthong. Presentation.
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 Very good, Yamini. Yes, Varun.
Institution.
Very good. Institution. Institution. So the stress is on Q. Institution. So let's say this together. Institution.
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 Very good. Next. Rajita.
Situation.
Very good. Situation. So again, the A is a diphthong. It's AE. Situation. Repeat.
Situation.
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 What situation? Varun, I'm hearing you say A. Say A. Situation.
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 All right. Good. Thank you. Rajita, you have one more word, right?
Yes, I have calculation.
Very good. Calculation. So the stress is on A again is a diphthong. You say calculation.
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 Very good. Okay, who's left? Sorry, I keep forgetting your name.
Dil Kumari.
Dil. Dil Kumari. How shall I call you in short? Dil?
Yeah.
Dil.
Yeah.
Okay. Dil, what are your two words?
Qualification.
Very good. Qualification. Let's say that. Qualification.
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 Say it with a diphthong, with the double sound. AE. Qualification.
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 Very good. What's the other word, Dil?
Determination.
Very good. Determination. Again, A is a diphthong. Determination.
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 Very good. Very good. Let's give a clap to all of you. Very good. Nice words that you found and you've learned how to pronounce them well with the proper diction and with the proper syllable stress. Now let's look at another pronunciation rule for syllable stress. You can just mute your mics for a few minutes, and when you're going to speak, you can unmute yourselves because there was some disturbance in the background. Now, I'm going to teach you another rule for syllable stress, and that is a word, any word which ends with graphy, graphy, graphy. Okay. Now, graphy in itself is two syllables, graphy, A and E, right? Now here, when you pronounce or stress on the syllable with the word with graphy, you have to stress on the syllable before gra. Now that's not called penultimate because it's not before the ultimate. Before the ultimate is gra. Phi is the ultimate syllable. Penultimate is gra. Before gra, before the sound of graphy, you have to stress on the syllable which comes there. Example, tell me any word ending with graphy.
Photography.
Very good. Photography. Now, that is the correct way of pronouncing. The way Rajita said it is correct. Now, I hear many people saying photography. Photography is wrong. It's not photo and graphy. When graphy comes, you have to say, you have to stress on what comes before graphy? Aw. You have to stress on aw, which means you have to emphasize on aw, say it louder, prolong it, emphasize on it, and stress on it. So the stress will be on O. Photography. Graphy is short. You don't say graphy. It's graphy. You don't stress on it. Say it's softer. A shorter time. You have to compress it and make it shorter. Even photo, you make it shorter and softer. But you say loudly. You stress on the syllable photography. I'm saying for short, graphy short. What is stressed on and said louder and for a longer time? It's prolonged. That is photography. Okay. Now let's say this together. Photography. Please repeat. You can unmute yourselves and speak.
Photography.
Photography.
Not O. It's not O. It's O. If you say O, like orange, awesome. O.
Photography.
Photography. It's not photography. 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 Okay, we'll repeat. We'll say another word. Geography. Say geography.
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 Demography. Demography. All of you repeat. Demography.
Demography.
Demography. Not more. It's not more. Not demo. Demography.
Demography.
I'm still hearing some saying oh, not demography. Demo. Oh. Like orange. Open your mouth wide. Oh. Demography. Demography. Say it by yourselves and see. Demography.
Demography.
Very good. Correct. Yes. Biography. Biography. Biography, not bio. Biography. Biography. Autobiography.
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 Autobiography. Very good. Right. Now, when you get the word graphy, you know how to pronounce the word. You stress on the syllable before graphy. If you don't get Y at the end, there's no Y. It's only graph. Then you have to say graph and don't say or. You stress on graph and not on or. Photograph, not photograph. That's wrong. Photo, you say O and not O, and graph is emphasized on. That is the stress syllable. Photograph. All of you repeat. Photograph.
Photograph.
Photograph. Demograph.
Demograph.
Autograph.
Autograph.
Photograph. Biograph.
Biograph.
And you only say only graph, also it's graph, not graph. Graph.
Graph.
So you got this rule also? Right? Okay. Now let's look at another rule for syllable stress. Whenever you have a word ending with L-O-G-Y, logy. Logy means the study of something. It could be biology, the study of living beings or living things. It could be cardiology, the study of the heart. It could be geology. It could be technology. It could be logy. It means study of. There are lots of words ending with logy. Now the rule for this is whenever you get a word ending with logy, you have to stress on the syllable before law. And don't stress on logy. You have to say it shorter, compress it and say logy. For example, biology. Don't say biology. Right? It's biology. Here some people saying psychology. Rini, you're a psychologist. So you would have heard some people saying psychology. Is it correct? Wrong.
Yes.
You stress on psychology. So logy is short. Psychology, biology, cardiology. Don't say technology. Some people say technology. It's wrong. You don't stress on law. You stress on or. No. Technology. Okay, let's all say this word first. Technology. Not technology. Technology. No. Stress on no. Stress on the syllable before law. Technology. Biology. Not O, not bio. Bio. O as an awesome. biology,
biology,
geology,
geology,
cardiology,
cardiology,
pulmonology,
Knowledge.
psychology.
psychology.
Okay, right. So these are the noun forms. Suppose you get an adjective form. Suppose you say the technological, which is the adjective form, then you don't stress on or you technological, there you stress on law. Make it longer, you prolong. Technological, biological, geological. So then you stress on law and don't say logy, you have to say law, logy, logical. In the word logycal, logical, logic, logical. Whenever you have a word ending with IC or ICAL, those are adjective forms, then you stress on law.
Law. Okay. Biology.
Biological.
Biological.
Biological, stress on law. Biological, stress on law. All of you say biological.
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 Technological changes. Technological.
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 Technological, yeah. Psychological.
Psychological.
Got it? Now you have to see what form, whether it's a noun form or adjective form. Accordingly, the syllable stress shifts from one part of the word to the other part, from one syllable to another syllable. Now, suppose you say any word, like suppose you say economy. So in the word economy, it's a noun form. Stress on economy, economy. But if you're saying the adjective form, it becomes economic. Then you stress on no, not co. Economic, economical. Stress is on no. Economic, economical. Because it's an adjective form. But if the noun form, it's only economy. Co. You stress on co. So today, for this week, I'm going to give you an assignment. And I hope you find it interesting. And please make the time to do this. Google it and see, write noun forms, nouns versus adjectives. You'll get a list of words. You get it very easily on your search engines. So you write down or take a picture of it, a screenshot of it, and you have to practice the pronunciation for syllable stress, nouns versus adjectives. You see the noun form, biology, biological, economy, economical. Like that, you'll have lots of words. Okay, so you write down about 50 words this week and see the difference, how you stress on the noun form and where you stress on the adjective form. So this is your assignment. Please do it. It's very interesting. You will be excellent in pronunciation. You'll get full marks, 5 marks. If you get 5 out of 5, that's a great thing. You're going to add up to your score in your PTE exam. Okay. These are some of the rules that you have for pronunciation, for word stress and syllable stress. So when you're reading a sentence, once you practice all these rules, it's going to come automatically and naturally to you. You don't have to think, what is the rule? Is it a noun form? Is it a where to say the, where to say the, where to pause for long time, short? When you keep practicing with all these rules and go through these rules over and over again after the class, you're going to imbibe it into your system. That's going to become natural to you and you will read spontaneously. Okay. So don't get worried about learning so many rules and having to think of so many aspects. It's going to be fun. You'll enjoy this read aloud section. Okay. So with this, I've come to the end of explaining to you about read aloud. What are the parameters? What are the assessment criteria? How they score you? And a few tips on how you can read better to score your 15 out of 15 marks for this section. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this this short talk of mine. Now we can do some practice exercises. Before we go on to the practice exercises, I would stop here and give you a chance or opportunity to ask for any questions that you have. Do you have any questions?